So, Erin, there was a recent court case that you were involved with regarding condo regulations and Airbnb. Maybe if you could explain to me a little bit about what that court case was and what was the result of it.
So in that particular case, which I have to stress isn't finalized as of yet, but what we did secure was an interim injunction favoring the condominium corporation that prevents the unit owners from operating their units as Airbnb, short-term accommodations, whether or not it's on Airbnb or any other online platform that offers short-term accommodations. So the condo corporation was successful in getting that injunction. And what the decision suggests very strongly is that condominium corporations can, through their bylaws, prohibit this type of use of their units.
So I guess that would be a case-by-case thing, right? Each condo board would then decide whether or not to allow its residents to put their houses or their condos on the market, right?
Yes, it would definitely come down to the specifics of each condominium corporation's bylaws, and the bylaws are the governing document, if you will, that governs everything and everything that a unit owner can do with their units. There are some restrictions in what the bylaws can and cannot do, and that was what was one of the challenges with this particular case. The owners in that instance were raising basically a challenge on the grounds that the bylaws that corporation bylaws couldn't actually prohibit that type of use, but the court confirmed that they could.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I guess one of the things for people to be aware of, I guess as a person that owns a property and as a person that's looking to rent, is to be aware of the legalities of whether or not a particular place can be put on Airbnb, correct?
Sure. So, if you were looking to say purchase a condominium unit, especially if you're wanting to purchase it as an investment property for that type of use, you're definitely going to want to take a hard look at the condominium bylaws in that case to see whether or not there's certain language in there that would perhaps limit that type of use that you can make of it. So we're looking for language like single family use only, residential purposes only, prohibitions on any commercial usage of the units, things like that.
Okay. And now this is an area that's obviously grown tremendously in the last few years. Just wondering if you could talk about some of the things that maybe people may not be aware of, the risks that are involved and maybe the insurance impacts that are involved if you decide to put your condo unit on Airbnb.
Well, so there's a strong indication that Airbnb operations would be considered a commercial use of your property, such that your standard homeowner's insurance policy or condo corporation owner's insurance policy would not necessarily cover you if something were to happen or if your guest were to cause damage to either your unit or, in the case of a condo, to the common property or to other units. So you're really going to want to take a hard look at your insurance policy, maybe contact your broker, see if you need to increase that coverage, and maybe even get a commercial policy. It's, again, kind of a policy by policy basis. Each individual is going to have to do that investigation on their own, maybe with the help of a lawyer in some cases. So I guess there certainly are some risks.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of things that I guess people just aren't aware of, right, that they really should do their homework and research on.
Yeah, and it is a growing area. I mean, in Edmonton, I think 4 or 5 years ago, there were only a couple dozen listings on Airbnb. Now there's almost 2,500 just in the city of Edmonton alone. So, people get into this thinking that it's pretty carefree, but you're running a lot of risks when you're inviting strangers into your home or into a property that you own. So you want to make sure that you've done your due diligence about who you're bringing in, maybe, secure some large damage deposits or credit cards and things like that. Do the appropriate checks on your guests and their background. But on your end, you want to make sure that you're doing it legally. If you're in a condo, you want to make sure that the bylaws actually permit this or don't expressly prohibit it one way or the other. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you have the appropriate insurance in place. And you know, again, from a commercial perspective, there might be some tax implications as well. Whether or not CRA decides that you need to be collecting and remitting GST, I think that's an open question.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that you should be concerned about, and perhaps consult a tax lawyer to be sure.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us today, Erin.
Thank you. My pleasure.